Well, good afternoon, everyone. So I am minimized on the screen because we're just starting back off with Cathy Griffin where we left off. Cathy O'Brien where we left off yesterday. Okay. So you know what? Let's do this. Hold on just a second. Let me. All right. Let's do this real quick so I can recap. Okay. So we've done 1 and 2 of this video, movie night presents or whatever, and she's talked about her father abusing her from an infant, okay? Her father using her for pornographic photographs and sending her across state lines, and the leader of the Masonic Lodge and the head of the Michigan Mafia found out about it and says, hey, in order to prevent you from going to prison, I'll do you a favor, you do me a favor. If you sell me your child, I will overlook this and let you walk free. And the father says, good, okay, deal. So we sold Cathy to one Gerald Ford, who then took her and got her into CIA ultra mind control. All right. Robert C. Byrd was her owner. Her handler was somebody Houston, and it goes from there. She was in the Reagan White House with Madeleine Albright and George W. Bush, or George Bush Sr., and she's about to reveal some other presidents that she was trafficked to, okay, and VPs and stuff like that. She mentioned Madeleine Albright. She mentioned Hillary Clinton. They do these that she would have to wear a certain rose for a certain thing. If she was going to be trafficking drugs, she wore one rose. If she was going to go there for sex, she was wearing another color rose. If she wore a rose of baby breath, that means that there was going to be small children involved with her. It's just sickening, okay? So we're going to transition here. I'm going to get her going, and she's going to start talking about some of the CIA and the drug trafficking like that.
Accessed my sex programming at that time and made me perform oral sex on her before leaving.
So how long was this action? So what she did was she just take her clothes off?
She's talking about Madeleine Albright having to perform oral sex on her in her office.
Oral sex on her?
Well, actually, she just removed her panties. She was wearing
George Bush and Ronald
a
Reagan
dress at the time, a longer skirt, which was more suitable for summer. It was a summer type weather anyway, and she just removed her her nylon panties and had me perform oral sex on her while she sat in her office chair. And
was she excited with that? Did she have an orgasm?
Yeah.
You can think of. How long you stayed there in her office?
As long as it took. I really don't know how long it was. Any time for something so disgusting is too long. But it was just until she was sexually gratified, and then I was just ordered to leave.
So what kind of order did she give you in that particular moment when she met with you?
Well, she just accessed the sex program part, the same part like Hillary Clinton would use, and that was done through the sister references, particularly a twin sister reference where the sex programming had actually already been instilled, and the removal of her panties and with her spreading her legs and giving me orders was really all it took.
So in other words, you was completely automatic. So you was just because of your mind control and your robotic behavior in the time.
Totally robotic, and I had no ability to do anything other than what I was instructed or what I had been previously trained to do. And she was well aware of the fact that I was programmed and trained. She was aware of the fact that I was used in pornography with Larry Flint's Hustler magazine.
Okay, you have some magazine where you can see the photographs of you on that magazine.
Those are available.
They're available on the Larry Flint's and Enterprise and Hustler magazine. Okay, what I would like to ask you this question that we was starting this programming, this particular segment was about your knowledge of other members of the Order of the Rose, that you can Did you give any testimony to any organization like FBI, anything regarding that Order of the Rose?
No organization like that. As a matter of fact, there are certain factions, criminal factions of the government that are involved in this. There's certain factions of CIA and certain factions of FBI, much lesser on the FBI. This was very high up in government. This is government officials such as Mexican President Miguel de la Madrid, who was president during the Reagan administration, Salinas, who was vice president and later went on to be president of Mexico.
You met the person personally?
Yes.
Did you also perform your sexual...
With De La Madrid.
De La Madrid, not with Salinas?
Several times with De La Madrid, yes.
Where, in Mexico or in...
In Mexico.
In Mexico.
And other people involved were like Bill Clinton. In 1984, I had occasion to be at the CIA Near-Death Trauma Center compound in Lampe, Missouri. And Bill Clinton and George Bush were there together. Mm-hmm. To some people in this country, it seems odd that a Republican and a Democrat would be together. But in fact, their agendas were exactly the same. Their agendas didn't even have to do with the Democratic-Republican parties, did not have to do with the best interests of the United States. Their interests were this new world order. They both had exactly the same goal and the same agenda. At that time, they were conversing to that effect, and Bush said that when the American people became disillusioned with the Republican Party, that Bill Clinton, as a Democrat, would be brought into the presidency to finish carrying out this new world order plan.
Other subject is when you was discussing, I'm recalling now the tape that you sent me to Europe, what I was showing to people that editors and some people from the various magazines that find big interest, but at the same time very big skepticism, because they don't have particular details in their topics. You was talking about this hunting field when Bush and Clinton were present. Can you tell me more particular where was happened, which plant you're talking about, and what you detailed, how you can detail that?
Well, this was
Okay, I'm going to stop here real quick and try to explain what's going on. Okay, I think this is the part where he talks about the hunting parties. I said it, hunting parties. Now, it's been rumored that George Bush Jr. was hunted down, just like Cathy O'Brien and her daughter were hunted down by his father, Clinton, Dick Cheney, and I want to say Joe Biden. Okay? This is going to get pretty graphic in nature on the hunting parties, and then she's going to talk a little bit more about what happened in the cabin. Okay, now I don't know if that's further down here or not, but when she talks about the hunting parties, just listen to what she has to say, okay? It's vile. It's very vile, guys. I can't believe these people were allowed to be in power. But then again,
this most dangerous game, as they referred to it, was a matter of human hunting. And when a mind-controlled slave such as myself was stripped of clothes and turned loose in the woods, I was then hunted by George Bush, Dick Cheney, and Bill Clinton, among others. But they were the main ones. I do not believe that it was necessary for them to have subjected me to this form of trauma. There were so many other traumas going on at the time. My mind was already prime conditioned for mind control program. So I really don't understand it, except for the fact that they found great pleasure in this form of human hunting. And they took it from particular military maneuvers. And
which base we're talking about when you was recalling the situation when Clinton was present and Mr. Bush? Which airspace?
There's a little place called Lampe, Missouri, that's just across the Arkansas line. Bill Clinton was governor of Arkansas at that time, and his whole cocaine operation that was Mena, Arkansas was the main hub for, was bringing cocaine into this CIA compound. And this particular Swiss Villa, as they called it, amphitheater in Lampe, Missouri, was actually a CIA compound out in the woods, military fencing all around it, and mind control training center where there was high-tech equipment was in one building. There were offices in another. There were little Swiss-style villas or cabins where different officials in either the military, CIA, or politics would stay, and it would house them while they were there for either the cocaine activities, for the paramilitary operations that were going on. You know, there were black helicopters everywhere, total robotic guys that were being used in special forces.
Which special force you're referring to?
Manchurian
There was also
candidates,
another
what they
program
call
of
them.
mind control by Delta Force,
Manchurian
right?
candidates.
Can you describe, what is your knowledge, do you have any knowledge of that, or you met these people, and can you describe me some more of this?
The Delta Force and the Navy SEALs are an elite part of the military that is mind-controlled, like the mercenaries. I'm more familiar with the mercenaries that were being trained to carry out international operations that weren't necessarily sanctioned by Congress, and they were brought into other countries, such as South America, and to carry out their orders. When in a country like that, the airplanes would then come back with the drugs in them, and the drugs were then sold on the streets here in America, and really worldwide. The CIA's so-called war on drugs was nothing more than the CIA eliminating their competition and taking over the drug industry. So it was all inter-attached. It all interworked. At this particular compound in Lampe, Missouri, the paramilitary operations there were for more of the UN aspect. They didn't wear UN uniforms. They wore black uniforms, had black helicopters, and this was for implementing the New World Order and didn't really have anything to do with our actual military defense.
So there were some specific units which was probably out of control, maybe, but it was very well known to the President of the United States because he was taking part of that.
Oh, very well known, yes, and maybe not so well known even to some higher officials in the military, because this was not a routine military. It was a routine military base. It was not routine military maneuvers. It was not known to the American public. Instead, this was secret operations, and like I said, for the purposes of bringing in the New World Order.
And also, I believe, acquiring a lot of money that was paid on the street of various cities,
Yes.
which was used for various operations.
Yes, it's enormous amounts of money that were brought in through the drug industry. If we had this illegally gained money actually being used for our country, we wouldn't have a national debt here. There wouldn't be any problem at all. But instead, all this money was being used for the global effort. So the money was being funneled into that. Much of it, I'm aware, was being funneled through the Catholic, like the Catholic convents, Jesuit schools, and all. The money a lot of times was being funneled right through there, through the Catholic Church for laundering purposes, and then actually put into the New World Order effort. Another one of these compounds was on Mount Shasta in California.
You were there too?
Yes, I was.
How many times you were there?
One time I was taken there.
Which
in
year we're talking about? Which year? Can you recall the year?
December 1986. And that was when George Bush and Dick Cheney were at that particular compound and indulged in their perverse pleasure of most dangerous games.
Did you sleep with George Bush yourself?
No, never. Even though he was present when he had turned me loose in the woods, he also had turned my daughter, Kelly, loose. She was only 6 years old at the time. And later on that evening, when Kelly was brought in.
In California? You're talking about California?
When Kelly was brought in, she said that she had been caught, same as me, to quote her, in that so-called most dangerous game. That was to make her feel responsible for the sexual abuse that followed, and it was to make me feel responsible for it, because had we not been caught, then we wouldn't have had to have endured the sexual abuse that followed. George Bush sexually assaulted my daughter, and Dick Cheney sexually assaulted me.
So now, can you recall who brought you to this Californian-based and...
Okay, so, did you catch that? George Bush, Dick Cheney, California, human hunting, her 6-year-old daughter and her stripped naked. That's why they do it. They strip them naked, put them in the woods to hunt, and when they catch them, and she doesn't say it right here, but normally they're tied to a tree and they're raped as punishment for being caught. We're talking about a 6-year-old girl. And we're talking about George Bush Jr. here and his VP, Dick Cheney. Now, she describes a sexual encounter with Dick Cheney in the cabin that she had while George Jr. was in another room with her daughter. And it blew my mind. And hopefully she's going to get to it here. If not, I'll have to fast forward it. Okay? So I want to get you guys back here. Let's get back to where we were.
Can you give more details on that topic, where you was brought, how this compound looks like, and everything else, which will help us more to understand and comprehend the situation, which was probably very shocking when I was presenting it to the various media organizations in Europe.
Well, Alex Houston was making a trip across the country to California at that particular time. In California, in December of that year, during the Christmas break, is when Ronald Reagan came in, De La Madrid came in from Mexico, and it was all part of the groundwork for what's known as NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement, which this particular groundwork was actually the opening of the Juarez, Texas, Mexican border to the free flow, free trade of cocaine and heroin into this country. So,
but I believe also in the economy and other economy, not exactly the campaign.
Yes. So that was really the primary purpose for making this trip across country to California. And en route, we stopped in the Lake Shasta area.
Who was with you?
Alex Houston, Kelly, and I were traveling by motorhome across country. And we stopped at Merle Haggard's.
Did you have a cocaine on your home?
Yes.
And you saw Houston delivering cocaine to various people?
Oh yeah. More often, I was the one who actually had to make the cocaine deals or load it out, because I was the slave. Why should he have to carry it, is the way he thought. So I was usually the one that carried those large amounts of cocaine to the different warehouses, facilities, and all where the cocaine was dropped off.
Can you recall to whom you delivered the cocaine at the time, just for curiosity reasons?
Many, many times the cocaine was brought to a CIA drug drop, as it was referred, in the state of Kentucky. It was Diamond Tavern's resort where the cocaine was brought in. Another place was at an abandoned amusement park in Ohio, where the cocaine was dropped off. There was usually large quantities of cocaine involved in those kind of deals. Aside from that, it was just minor, hand distribution to different people in the country music industry or different politicians.
Did you have him paying you on the spot, this money, kind of money, or you never saw money, or how it was done?
On the larger deals, there was not money exchanged. A lot of times there were bank transactions that had occurred that I had been programmed to cover the specifics on the larger deals. On the smaller deals, there was some money that was made at that time.
Now, Mike, we have now some. I was now. One of the reasons I came here was very much to dig out some more evidence on various aspects of the story, which was very, very shocking for most Europeans. I said maybe Americans living here and being faced with the situation on a daily basis in one way or another, even that we could say that most Americans are not familiar with this vaccines happening on a daily basis in this country. You've been showing me the book. Can you tell me the contents of the book, Mark, and what is the book all about?
Well, yes, Becca, first of all, I'll tell you where the book came from. Alex Houston was Cathy O'Brien's handler for the CIA. He's a CIA operative, drug runner, pedophile, money launderer, as well as slave runner. And even though he did not orchestrate Cathy O'Brien's activities for the most part, he was responsible for making sure that she was in certain places at certain times. As you all have discussed earlier, I'm sure, there are codes, keys, and triggers that are necessary for someone to know in order to access, very much like getting into a computer program, in order to access the mind of one of these programmed individuals, such as Cathy was, you need to know the codes, keys, and triggers. I was aware of this because of a general in the military that had informed me that somewhere Alex Houston must have a record book where it'll say record book on it, and it would indeed contain some of her codes, keys, and triggers. Well, I knew that Alex had a large safe in his home. Very, very old, but extremely large professional bank type safe. And I knew too that Cathy O'Brien had a photographic memory, so that if she had ever seen the combination even once, it would be recorded in her mind. But unfortunately, I was rather disturbed that she could not tell left from right, and usually, so many turns left and so many turns right. Well, that did pose to be a little bit of a problem, so I just simply reversed the process. But I was able to access in Cathy's memory the actual combination to the safe. And when we opened up the safe, this book, a central record book, did indeed come out of that safe.
What means central? Is it book by some central?
Oh, I think you can buy these books. They're record books. I think you can buy them most anywhere. But like many CIA operatives, they normally stay with the same theme, and so everything on it will either say Central or CIA or CCA or something of that nature. But contained within the pages of this book was much more than codes, keys, and triggers. As a matter of fact, there were very few codes, keys, and triggers in here. What was important, though, were offshore bank account numbers, numbers of persons high up in politics, like Bill Clinton. And at the time that I got this book, Bill Clinton was only running for the office of president. I didn't realize that he had been destined to be placed in that office. But there are a lot of drug dealing, a lot of South African telephone numbers and bank drops. Ways to launder money, primarily, are in this book. But,
you just mentioned Bill Clinton. Can you please show me the page where...
Cathy, where is it? She can find it very quickly.
Where Bill Clinton's name is there and his telephone number was there, which I believe some people that have been using, they could be...
Yes, this one.
I want to face this with the camera. Bill Clinton. And if I could recall the number, 859 through the lens on my camera, 6641.
Correct. That's correct.
Was it number in his country home?
Yes, in Little Rock, Arkansas.
Mm-hmm. So what is written down on the top? Let me give it again because I just want to show my viewers. There was some.
It says prospective dealers, and actually what that meant in code is the fact that Bill Clinton was not a dealer, but a consumer of cocaine.
So, Cathy, you can recall, and I believe you testified on some occasions on Bill Clinton's using cocaine. You testified that you brought him the cocaine. And can you describe me this time and time frame and what was happened?
1978 was the first time that I delivered cocaine into the state of Arkansas at Mena Airport.
With whom you was there at the time? With whom you was there?
My first mind control handler, which was Wayne Cox. Wayne Cox.
The man who as a child with you, was chosen to be your father of your child. Is that correct?
Yes, yes, and he was also involved in the mercenary operations that were under the direction of Louisiana Senator J. Bennett Johnston. And these mercenaries, as I was saying, would go to South America or wherever.
The officers of the army
and bring back the planes would bring back the drugs. This one particular airplane load of drugs was transferred into a van, driven into the state of Arkansas, and delivered to the Mena Airport area. I only knew it as a remote airport in Ouachita Forest in the state of Arkansas, and it's since been identified exactly as Mena Airport. But I delivered some cocaine directly to Bill Clinton.
What quantity you were talking about? What quantity of cocaine you were talking about?
Just a small personal amount at that time.
Like 1 kilo or something?
Wasn't that much. I don't believe it was that much.
So where was the place of delivery?
It was at a hotel that was right nearby there, where Bill Clinton was staying at that time.
Do you remember the name of the hotel by any chance?
No, I don't.
So it was a small hotel?
It wasn't like a conventional motel with like a Holiday Inn kind of something. It wasn't like that. It was an older stone motel.
It's actually the place that she's identified. She did so for some investigators with the Kenneth Starr Investigative Committee for Congress. And although I apologize, I don't have photographic memory recall, they did tell me what the name of the place was. It is it was at one time it was built during the 20s, and it was used for hunting, as a hunting fishing lodge, motel type of thing, but has long since been used as a retreat for various Christian groups and this sort of thing. But yes, it's in existence and it's there in the Ouachita Forest.
We'll be able to recall this hotel when you'll be able to see this hotel now.
Right, I can get photographs of it.
Now to come back to this topic, you brought there, you came in his room, right? He was there?
Yes, Bill Clinton was governor of Arkansas at that time. He was for a very brief period of time. Then later he became governor for an extended period.
How the situation was looking like? You brought him this cocaine to his room, right?
Yes. Yes, along with a message from J. Bennett Johnston, because this was from Johnston's personal stash of cocaine that he was sharing with Clinton, because it was supposedly extra good cocaine. Bill Clinton snorted 2 lines of it then and did...
He did in front of you? He opened the package?
Yes, and told me to tell his friend Ben, as he referred to him, that the cocaine was excellent, so it was real good. So I did. That was the first time I witnessed him using cocaine, and I did have occasion to see him using it throughout the Reagan Bush administration.
So that was your first occasion that you met in person with Bill Clinton, is that correct?
Yes.
Did you testify on that to some committee or any organization like FBI or whatever?
The information was turned over to the ones that Mark just mentioned.
Okay, so now we're getting to the thick of it, right? We're getting right into the thick of it right now. So she's talking about Clinton. She's talking about the farm on the other side of the Arkansas-Missouri state line. CIA trafficking in drugs. Her delivering drugs to Bill Clinton. And ironically, a hotel that's used for Christians. Like, what is that they say? Something like Christians, church, something like that. And he too was given the seat of presidency as George W. was. And as George Sr. was, as Dick Cheney was given VP, remember George Sr. covered up the CIA investigation on the 1963 assassination. We all know what that is. Ford covered it up in the Warren Report, and so Ford became president, and then Sr. became president, and then Jr. became president, and Cheney became VP, and then Biden became VP, and Biden became president. Clinton became president. They were all mostly governors, and then onto the presidency. This is a very old video. I have newer stuff that implicates presidents up to 2012. So this is getting, and guys, you have to remember, okay? They went to numerous courts to fight this, to try to get it exposed, and they wouldn't do it because it was a threat to national security, right? But she's never been sued by anyone she's accused. Never. Not a libel, not a defamation suit, nothing. Why is that? Because they got that one book, but she's got tons of diaries where she has the photographic memory of where, when, how, why, who. They knew that in discovery they would lose their ass and wind up being held accountable for crimes against humanity. And that's why it hasn't happened. That's why she's still talking today. Yesterday's video was a newer video. It was like a couple of years old, where she's still talking about it today and still has not been sued by anyone that she's accused that allegedly did this to her. Think about that. So we know Clinton's got a big drug issue. We know that. So it started a long time ago when he was in Arkansas, and it's probably still going on now. These people are vile. They're all in the same club. They're all chosen. They all run in Order of the Rose, Skull and Bones, Masonic Lodge. They all have those connections. You want to know who doesn't have those connections and why they hate him so much? Donald John Trump. Go figure. Okay, let's get back.
What was the organization? I'm sorry.
The Starr Committee. It's Kenneth Starr. He's been appointed by Congress to investigate the Whitewater and as well as Mena, Arkansas affair. His group is rather large. They've come down with several indictments. They've already forced Hillary Clinton to have to testify.
It's official group by the Congress. It's
yes,
official organization. Yes. And you testify together, or Cathy?
No, our testimony thus far has not been made public. This is the first even mention of it publicly.
The other reports that we did, we've turned this information over to all aspects of law enforcement.
When this testimony was taking place, exactly what time, and you have a frame time, and when this happened, which year?
The first testimony was this, along with some other physical evidence, is that Alex Houston was in the cocaine business, and that was given by myself to the FBI in Anchorage, Alaska in 1989.
Who was the person in charge that took this evidence from you?
Ken Marischal.
Ken Marischal was FBI special agent?
Yes, he was in charge at that time of that particular office. I also reported this information to United States Customs Enforcement in Anchorage, Alaska. But since no crimes had been committed in the Alaskan jurisdiction, they were not permitted to investigate it, only to forward the information on to Washington and to the respective areas that I was reporting where crimes had been committed. Cathy then gave testimony to the local Anchorage Police Department for the FBI on camera in 1989 with regards to Alex Houston's abuse of her daughter, herself, and in addition to that, some information regarding the drug dealing. But at that time, Cathy had not recovered her memories yet, beyond a certain point. In 1990, we also gave testimony to the United States Department of Defense Special Investigations known as the Defense Intelligence Agency. A representative from the Huntsville, Alabama regional office came to my mother's home just outside of Nashville, Tennessee. And there Cathy gave more recorded testimony.
What was his name? If you remember?
You know, it's in the book.
Oh, I see.
But I don't recall it offhand.
We reported all these crimes to so many people, and on every turn we were stopped for reasons of national security. It's also interesting to note at that time when we were reporting these crimes that the U.S. Attorney General of the Justice Department here was Dick Thornburg. Dick Thornburg was a primary victimizer of mine. He's heavily involved in the white slavery cocaine operations. He was, at that time, governor of the state of Pennsylvania. And during the bulk...
Okay, so there we go again. Another governor. And you see, he was in a high position and didn't want to hear the case, as with the case of all the other ones. They didn't want to hear it because they knew that they would expose themselves, kind of wrong choice of words there, I guess, to the crimes against humanity, and they'd be held accountable, and they'd be sitting in prison, or they'd be roasting chestnuts, roasting on an open fire. Tango didn't like me singing. So they didn't do it because you see how corrupt and vile and evil. When Trump said drain the swamp, he had no idea how many alligators and how big the swamp was. We're going back to Gerald Ford, and who knows what went on before Gerald Ford. But everybody that you can imagine in the cabinets, in the administration, in Congress, in the Senate, in judicial seats, were all involved in crimes against humanity. Now, we've hit 37 minutes, so I'm going to stop it here, and I want to do Cathy O'Brien Part 4. Okay? Now, she didn't go into detail on this one about the hunting parties and what happened with her and George Jr. and Dick Cheney. Hopefully it's the next one, okay? So we're going to stop this one right now. We're going to stop, and I'm going to be doing Cathy O'Brien Part 4. Okay? Guys, I know this is long, but she's given a lot of details, and I hope I'm waking a lot of you up as to why, what, when, how, where, and who. How deep this evil, corrupt government runs. And how every president was chosen because they were part of the group. Either New World Order, whatever the Rose, group of the Rose, or Skull and Bones, or Masonic Lodge, New Order of the Rose. They're all involved. They've all been part of the group, which is why you have Clinton and Obama and Junior hanging out all the time. Now, Obama was young. He was still a youngster living with the Bushes. And yes, he lived with the Bushes. He was groomed. He didn't tag along with all this stuff. But I guarantee you he's been involved lately. I can tell you that. So we're going to stop it. Thank you for spending time with me on Cathy O'Brien 3. Next, you'll see Cathy O'Brien 4. Okay, and yes, I'm doing all these in one day because tomorrow's my day off. I'm with family. And that's just the way it is. So thank you for listening to me. I appreciate you very much. If you like it, like, share, follow, comment. Please get it out to your friends. Wake some people up, guys. Wake some people up.